my name is Nobukumalo and welcome to my channel. I hope the week has been kind to you, that the new month and the new quarter has been equally good to you. Self-sabotage. It's funny that I prepared this last night and I did my research and I was so convinced that this is what I want to talk about, and then I fell right into the trap this morning. So before I tell you how I fell into the trap, let's define self-sabotage. So what is self-sabotage? Self-sabotage is when you personally undermine your own goals and values. So like I said, I fell right into the trap this morning because I knew I was supposed to record this in the morning before I leave for work. And I set my alarm for 7 a.m. so it would take me like about 30 minutes to get ready and then give me an hour to record. But like I woke up a few minutes before my alarm and I was like, oh, I feel so tired. Let me just, push my alarm to 7:30, giving me 30 minutes to get ready and 30 minutes to record because I need to be out of the house at 8:30. And right there, self-sabotage, because where I would have had an hour to do this, I now have 30 minutes. But anyway, I kind of knew that it usually takes me 20 minutes or less to do the recordings. So I knew I'd get it done. But it's self-sabotaging in that I know that there's something that I need to do and there's a goal that I reach, but I'm making decisions that have the potential of, undermining those goals. I mean, something could go wrong and then now I have to fix something and then I don't have time and I'm in a panic because, I decided to, just give myself 30 minutes instead of an hour. So self-sabotage, you acknowledge that there's something right out there, that you really, really want, something that you really, really value, something is good for you, but then you go ahead and make decisions that directly conflict with what you're trying to achieve, right? So you're trying to work towards something, but your actions and your thoughts and your planning is contrary to that, and as a result, you are not giving yourself the best chance at making sure that the things that you want actually happen, that you attain your goals. So conscious self-sabotage is where you know that what you're doing is going to undermine your goals. For example, I want to lose weight, but I eat a lot of sugar, or I snack a lot, or I don't exercise. These are things that are in direct conflict with what you're working towards. And then unconscious self-sabotage is where you do something that undermines your goals, but you don't realize it until after the fact. So for example, you want to do great at work, but you're so afraid of failing, right? So what do? You do the bare minimum so that you don't, get a lot of responsibility. And so if you don't get a lot of responsibility, then you won't fail. But then it's undermining your goals because by doing the bare minimum, you're not being great at work and you're inadvertently failing. So when you have the fear of failure, you're usually working towards making sure you don't fail. But by doing less so that you don't get more and so that you don't fail, you are, in a sense, failing already. So it's unconscious. So you're not going out of your way to make yourself fail, but the actions and the decisions that you're making result in you failing either way. So what are some examples of self-sabotage? I think the first and the biggest one is what I did this morning: procrastination. So procrastination is so silly because there's something that you need to do. There's no way of getting out of it. You are going to have to do it and no one can do it for yourself. But you convince yourself that you can do it later. Usually we tell ourselves, I can work well under pressure, so I'm going to push it for later. Which may be true, but it's self-sabotage in a sense, because even though you can work well under pressure, you'd probably do much better if you're not under pressure and you have time to review your work and you have time to make any corrections, or if you have thoughts that come your way whilst you're working at it. If you have time to refine your ideas a little bit more. So procrastination in and of itself takes away or undermines your goals, undermines the strides that you're making at being great. I did that to myself this morning. I knew I had to record. No one was going to do this for me, but I pushed myself by 30 minutes. I'm still going to get this done within the time, but who knows what could have happened in an hour. Maybe I would have had some amazing ideas. So procrastination is one example of self-sabotage. And then chronic lateness. I actually didn't know about this one, but it actually makes sense. So there's some people who have social anxiety, right? They're not very comfortable with interacting with people in a social space, be it networking or even family and friends. It makes them anxious because they don't, sometimes because they don't have people skills, so they don't know how to engage people. And so how they deal with that is by making sure that they are never early, so they're always late for every event, and get there right in the nick of time just before it starts. Why? So that you don't have to work the room, you don't have to network, you don't have to go through small talk and all that. But then what that does is that you will never actually get rid of the social anxiety, because you will never get an opportunity to actually see it, talk to people, and see that it's not that hard, it's not that bad. So you don't give yourself an opportunity to go through the discomfort and come out on the other side, and come out victorious on the other side. It's a loop where you don't want to go through anxiety, so you are late, but because you're late, you never learn how to let go of the anxiety, and so you keep feeding and self-sabotaging yourself, and your social anxiety just gets worse and worse. Stress eating. This happens to the best of us. So a lot of us turn to food when we are stressed or anxious because it makes us feel good. But then it undermines our goals of healthy living, of a healthy diet, because usually when you stress eat, we're not stress eating on vegetables and drinking water and fruits, right? Usually when we're stress eating, we go for the snacks, we go for the crisps, we go for the chocolate, we go for all those things that are contrary to what I believe most of us have as a goal, which is to be healthy. And more so, I've heard that some people who are maybe trying to lose weight, right, they are working towards losing weight, but then it's taking too long, and then they get stressed because they're not seeing the results, and because they're stressed, they eat. But you see what's happening there? You're trying to lose weight, and then you're eating more because of the stress of not losing weight. So it's self-sabotage. How are you going to achieve your weight loss goals if you are eating because you're stressed? That is not working. Another loop. And then this one was quite eye-opening for me. So apparently self-sabotage also shows itself in having commitment and intimacy issues. So there are a lot of people who are afraid of being vulnerable, who are afraid of getting hurt, who genuinely believe that nothing will work out well, that it will always end in tears, like we usually say it. And so what those people do is that you get into a relationship, it's going well, you're vibing well with your person, this person is amazing and is great, but then your thoughts and your fears start playing at you, and you think, it's too good to be true. This person is probably gonna hurt me in the not so distant future. I'm going to be broken because I'm falling for this person, I'm falling in love with this person, and day by day I'm becoming more and more vulnerable, and this is just not gonna end well. And so people usually end the relationship before it gets there. So, and remember, these people who are afraid of being vulnerable and getting hurt do genuinely want good, comfortable, safe relationships where they know that they are loved and they are heard and they're cared for, and that they're not going to get hurt. But then they end the good relationships before they get hurt as a way of protecting themselves from potential hurt. I'm sure you can see how that is self-sabotaging, because if you're always ending every good relationship that you have, and this doesn't have to be romantic, it's even with platonic and familial relations, right? If you're always ending and pulling away from good relationships because you fear the possibility of getting hurt, one, you inadvertently hurt yourself in that process because you were already falling for that person, you're already somewhat attached. But two, you also deprive yourself of the beautiful and the meaningful relationships that you could form if you just let your guard down a bit. So all this happened to us at some point in life. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you've had a period of stress eating, then you have a self-sabotage problem, or if you procrastinate, then you definitely have a self-sabotage problem. But if you see this panning out in one way where it's like becoming a pattern, then there might be a self-sabotage problem, and you might need to look into it. So we've spoken about it. What is self-sabotage? How did we get there? But the important thing is, how do I stop? How do I stop undermining my own goals? How do I stop, how do I stop getting in the way of my own success? So number one, understand the hole or the gap that the self-sabotage fills. So knowing why you do a certain thing that sabotages yourself and what gap it fills is the first step in making sure that you find alternative ways of dealing with it. So for example, if you drink because you are lonely, right? You now know what gap the drinking fills, right? It fills the gap of loneliness. And so it makes it easy then to think, okay, so the problem here is loneliness, right? How do I solve the loneliness problem? And this leads us to number two, identify alternative healthy ways of filling that gap. So in our drinking analogy, I drink because I am lonely. So loneliness is the problem. How do I solve the loneliness problem in a healthy and alternative way to drinking? Okay, so maybe I should socialize more with friends, go out more with friends, call my friends a lot more. When I feel lonely, when I get back from work and the house is empty, I should call my friends. That is an alternative, healthy way of dealing with loneliness apart from drinking. And then anticipate and plan for obstacles in your journey. It's not as easy as, oh, I drink because I'm lonely, so instead of drinking, I'm going to call my friends. It's really not that easy, you know. Transitioning from knowing better to doing better is a journey on itself, and it's often a very difficult journey. And you know, it's easy to stick to the plan when the conditions are conducive, right? So it's easy to not drink when your friends are around because I'm not feeling lonely. But then what happens when that one friend that you normally call when you're feeling lonely doesn't pick up? Then you go back to the bottle. So you need to anticipate and plan for obstacles. And what does that mean? It means like make sure that you have as many options as possible. So if back to our analogy of calling your friend, make sure you have more than one friend you can call when you're lonely. Make sure you have maybe 5 friends that you can call when you're lonely. That way, if the first 2 don't pick up, maybe the third one or the fourth or the fifth will pick up. Because if you leave it with one person, then you run the risk that if that one person is not there to aid you, you're gonna go back to your default setting, which is drinking. And also on identifying healthy alternatives, right? Like speak to other people who seem like they're struggling with what you're going through, right? Find out from work, are there other people who feel lonely when they get back home from work? How do they deal with that? And then have a running list of things and try out everything. So if the first 2 things work, then great, keep them. If the third one doesn't work, toss it out and try the next in the list. So broaden your alternatives as much as you can, not only by looking at yourself and what you think might help you, but by looking at the experiences of others and what has helped them. And you're probably bound to find 1 or 2 things that can also work for you. And then number 4, boost your tolerance for uncomfortable feelings. Allowing yourself to feel those uncomfortable feelings for a while is how you grow your tolerance, right? We don't gain tolerance by avoidance. We gain tolerance by going through it, but by coming out on the other side victorious, by making those feelings and those things not crush us, not hinder and deter us. So tolerance is built by going through the motions but pushing against them and coming out alive. And then finally, value your values. What do you want? Why do you want it? How badly do you want it? And what does it really, really mean to you? And no one can value your values the way you value them. You define your values and you have to value them for yourself. And these values need to be compelling, right? Force yourself to be more specific. So I'll give an example. If your value is, I want to go to the gym. I gym every day. Why do you gym every day? I want to be in shape. Okay, why do you want to be in shape? I want to be in shape so that I feel more energetic, so that I feel less tired at work and I can focus better and do better at work and excel in my job. See, that is a completely different thing altogether. We've gone from I want to be consistent in going to the gym to how does this play out in the long run? So what are the bigger effects? What is the positive domino effect that your values have on your life? If you stick to the plan, what are the positive things that you don't immediately see now, but that are available, that will happen if you stick to the plan? So it's about having a compelling value, having a compelling reason for doing what you're doing. If you're just going through the motions because, oh, we go to the gym, but you don't have like the bigger picture, what is the bigger picture? What is the bigger goal? Then you find yourself slipping in and out of those values because they are not compelling. There's nothing really that is pushing you to make sure it happens. And so yeah, those are the 5 tips that I had for you. I am still struggling with this as well because there's some ways that I self-sabotage myself, but I'm committing to trying these things out and seeing how they work. Just to rehash them quickly: understand the need that your self-sabotage fails, identify alternative healthy ways of filling that void, anticipate and plan for obstacles, boost your tolerance for uncomfortable feelings, and last, value your values. Thank you once again for tuning in and for listening in. I hope these videos are valuable. I hope every week when you listen to the little that I have to say from my very inexperienced self, that you find some value in it. If you still haven't subscribed, please kindly subscribe and help the channel grow. Please also like, please also share, and please comment in the comment section. I really try to respond to every comment and to engage with everyone who wants to engage, so you can be sure that I will respond to your comment. Have a lovely rest of the week, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.